leaving my house today, and there's no two ways about that. Your mother is the reason why I have been childless for years now, and now my prophet has confirmed it. Nneka yelled at her husband. In the city of Uduma, there lived a young lady named Nneka. Nneka was born into a loving family, but lost both of her parents in a car accident, leaving her as the only surviving child. It was a tragedy that could have shattered her completely, but her aunt Amaka took her in and raised her as her own. Under Amaka's care, Nneka grew into a strong and determined woman. She carried the weight of her parents' memories with grace, channeling her energy into building a career as a fashion entrepreneur. Nneka was a true beauty, her confidence and intelligence making her stand out wherever she went. During a business meeting at a clothing material fair, that's where she met Izu. Izu was a successful businessman, dealing in all kinds of fabrics. He had built his business through consistency, hard work, and dedication. His reputation for quality and trustworthiness had spread far and wide. The connection between Nneka and Izu was almost like destiny had brought them together. They shared not just passion for their work, but a deep emotional bond that grew over time. Izu was captivated by Nneka's strength, her independence, and the way she carried herself. Nneka, on the other hand, admired Izu's humility and his deep sense of responsibility, especially towards his aging mother, Ezinne. Ezinne had raised Izu as a single mother after his father passed away, and he was devoted to her as the only child. Izu was responsible for her care in her old age. Nneka was fully aware of this responsibility and agreed to let Ezinne live with them after they got married. Their wedding was a grand occasion, a colorful celebration that the entire community attended. The joy in the air was amazing, and everyone surprised at the perfect match that Nneka and Izu seemed to be. The bond of the love between them was strong, and their future appeared to be one filled with endless happiness. But life, as they would come to know, had other plans in store for them. 5 years into their marriage, things started to change. Nneka and Izu, who had always been so in love, began to drift apart. The reason? Their childlessness. Nneka had suffered several miscarriages in a span of 5 years. Each one felt like a stab to her heart, a reminder of something she couldn't control. They had visited several specialists, tried every options, including IVFs and other options, but all seemed abortive. Izu, though deeply hurt by their childlessness, remained calm and hopeful, often comforting Nneka. "Nne, you have to be strong and trust the process. Don't worry. God will definitely grant all our heart's desires. Please don't worry so much," he said calmly to her as they sat down relaxing in the lounge. Izu kept on comforting Nneka, telling her that they have to be patient and trust the process. But for Nneka, each miscarriage felt like another failure, and with every failed attempt at motherhood, her frustration grew on a daily basis. Tongues started to wag as some of her neighbors who knew how Nneka and Izu started to live together as husband and wife. They began to whisper as she walked past them. They gossiped behind her back, asking questions why she couldn't give her husband a child. The pressure mounted and slowly Nneka began to feel suffocated. What had started as a beautiful marriage, filled with love and joy, was now filled by constant sorrow and unspoken pain. Hello my lovely viewers, hope you've subscribed to this channel. If you haven't, please hit the subscribe button, and for my returning viewers, big ups to you all. Please stay tuned as you grab your popcorn for a mind-blowing story. Thank you. One afternoon, as Nneka sat in her shop, lost in a deep thought, one of her closest friends, Ifeoma, walked in, met her in a very disturbed state. Nneka, she called out her name. She was still lost in a deep thought until she reached out to her, tapped her on the shoulder, and she asked in a calm voice, "What is bothering you, my dear?" Nneka eased, "My dear, you won't understand. I'm slowly losing my mind because of my recent predicament. I have tried all options, still no possible solution. I can barely walk on the streets confidently. People now say all manner of things, even to my hearing. I am now a laughing stock in my neighborhood," she said tearfully as the tears began to drip down her eyes. Ifeoma tried to console her. "Please wipe your tears, my dear," Ifeoma said softly to Nneka. "You have been in my thoughts for a long time now. This is one of the reasons I came here to check up on you. Please wipe your tears and stop crying. I think I have a solution to your problem. Don't worry, everything will be fine. I will introduce you to one prophet of God who has the ultimate solution to all problems. God has been using him in so many ways, and I believe he will find a solution to your own problem. So cry no more." That words alone were words of encouragement to Nneka. She wiped off her tears as they scheduled to meet the following day. One afternoon, Ifeoma took Nneka to a small prayer house run by a prophet who was well known for solving mysterious problems. The prayer house was dimly lit, the air thick with incense and whispers of divine revelations. The prophet, an elderly man with a long white beard, took one look at Nneka and declared that her problem was spiritual. His words echoed in the small room. "The source of your problem lies in your home." Nneka's heart raced as the prophet continued. "Your mother-in-law is the reason for your miscarriages. She does not want you to bear a child for her son. She has placed a curse on you." Nneka's eyes was wide open in shock. "My mother-in-law?" she murmured. It was as if a veil has been lifted from her eyes. Everything suddenly made sense. Ezinne has always been in my home since I got married. Her silent disapproval, the way she always seemed to watch Nneka with those tired eyes, the anger that had been building within Nneka now had a target. She was furious, blinded by the belief that the old woman she had once respected was behind all her suffering. Nneka returned home that day with a new attitude towards Ezinne. She no longer greeted her with the warmth and respect she once did. Instead, she avoided her, barely speaking a word to the old woman who had done nothing but love her. Ezinne noticed the change in Nneka's behavior, but at first, he thought it was just the stress of their situation. He couldn't have imagined what was going on in Nneka's heart. The tension in the house grew with each passing day, and soon Nneka could no longer keep her hatred hidden. One evening, in the heat of an argument with Ezinne, over their inability to conceive. Nneka blurted out, "It's all your mother's fault. She is the one responsible for my predicament. She is behind all this. She doesn't want me to have children. She cursed me." Ezinne was confused, his eyes filled with shock as he stared at Nneka. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, his voice a mixture of confusion and anger. "How could you say that? My mother has done nothing but love us. Where is all this coming from?" Nneka, fueled by the prophet's words, stood her ground. "I went to see a prophet. He told me everything. Your mother is behind our childlessness. She doesn't want me to have a child to be called my own." Ezinne's face grew red with anger. "A prophet? Are you even listening to yourself? You're going to listen to a total stranger over your own husband, over the woman who raised me and has done nothing but care for you." The argument escalated into a shouting match, their voices echoing through the house. Ezinne, old and frail, sat in her room, hearing every word, her heart breaking as the family she loved fell apart. In the following weeks, Nneka's hostility towards Ezinne grew unbearable. She would lash out at the old woman for the smallest things, accusing her of dark intentions, of trying to poison her, of causing her wound. Ezinne, too weak to defend herself, would silently weep in the corner, not understanding where the love they once shared had gone. Ezinne, caught between his love for Nneka and his duty to his mother, found himself at a breaking point. He tried to reason with Nneka, to make her see sense, but she refused to listen. Nneka wanted Ezinne out of the house. She wanted her gone, convinced that her presence was the source of all their problems. One fateful night, Nneka's anger reached its peak. She confronted Ezinne. "It's either her or me. I can't live in the same house with that woman anymore. She is killing me. Can't you see it?" she yelled. Ezinne, torn apart by Nneka's constant problems, finally gave in. He packed his mother's few belongings and took her to a small apartment close by, hoping that some time apart might calm the storm that had been brewing in their lives. Ezinne, with tears streaming down her face, said nothing as her son dropped her off. She only whispered a soft prayer as she watched Ezinne drove away. A few weeks later, Ezinne fell gravely ill. Ezinne has been constantly coming to check up on his mother. He even employed the services of a private nurse. When her health issues escalated, she was rushed to the nearby hospital. She could no longer live without the family she had known. Ezinne gave up the ghost. She died heartbroken. All the while she was in the hospital, Nneka never visited her for once. This made Ezinne's heart to be broken the more. Despite Ezinne's death, Nneka's miscarriages continued. The curse she believed would be lifted with her mother-in-law's absence remained. Her heart, heavy with guilt, began to doubt the prophet's words. Could it be possible that she had been wrong all this while? That she had driven an innocent woman to her death? She thought to herself as she sat in front of her house. One day, While walking through the busy market, Nneka was approached by an old woman who she had never seen before. The woman's eyes were filled with wisdom and sorrow as she spoke softly. "Go to your mother-in-law's grave. Ask her for forgiveness." Nneka froze, staring at the stranger. "What? What do you mean?" she stammered. "You accused her wrongly," the old woman said. "She died with pains in her heart. Ask her spirit for forgiveness, and only then will you find peace." Before Nneka could ask more, the old woman vanished into the crowd, leaving Nneka standing there, trembling in fear. That night, Nneka explained to her husband Izu all that she has encountered in the market. She pleaded with Izu to forgive her for all her wrongdoings to his mother. Izu, though devastated, remained silent, listening to his wife's confession. After what seemed like an eternity, he nodded and said, "We will go to her grave." They traveled to the village the next day, the journey heavy with unspoken sorrows. When they arrived at Ezinne's grave, Nneka fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. She poured out her heart, begging for forgiveness from the woman she had wronged so deeply. "I'm so sorry, Mama," she wept. "I was blinded by lies, by my own pains. Please forgive me, Mama. I didn't know. Please forgive me, Mama." He stood beside her, his own eyes filled with tears, mourning not just the loss of his mother, but the love and peace that had been destroyed in his home. As they stood there, a gentle breeze swept through the graveyard, as if Ezinne's spirit was listening. Nneka's tears fell like raindrops, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a weight lift from her heart. After that day, Nneka and Izu returned to the city. The road to healing was long, but they walked it together. Though they had lost so much, they still had each other, and slowly they began to rebuild their marriage on the foundation of love and forgiveness. Months passed, and one quiet morning, Nneka woke up feeling different. A visit to the doctor confirmed what they had both longed to hear. Nneka was pregnant. This time, the pregnancy was different, strong and healthy. 9 months later, Nneka gave birth to a beautiful baby boy and a girl, whom they named Ezinne and Izuchukwu, in honor of the woman whose love and forgiveness have saved them. Their journey had been one of love, loss, and redemption, but in the end, they found their way back to each other, stronger, more united than ever. And as Nneka held her babies in her arms, she knew that this was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, healing, and the promise of a brighter future. Hello, my lovely viewers. Thank you for staying tuned till the very end. Hope you find this story interesting. I would like to know what moral lessons you've learned from this story. We'll be waiting for you in the comment section. Please share with me your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more interesting and mind-blowing story. Also share this story with your family, friends, and loved ones. Also hit the like button. I remain your favorite storyteller, African Story Tales by Abby. Bye.